usages. We have S-P-I-D-O, right? And you could say Spido, and we're just going to end there for a second. These are usages. So a noun names, nominative, subject. A noun can be used as the subject, and that's what the S stands for. So at class the other day, my friend Elise, she had made cupcakes. So I'm going to make a sentence just like we did in class. Okay, Elise baked, period. All right, that's S-V-I. It's not transferring anything, right? If you were going to go through tasks 1 through 3, you would label them. That's the subject. And it's nominative. It's a noun, right? Subject, noun. We're going to label them either SN for noun or SP for pronoun. Elise is a noun because it's a name, right? And then baked, VI. She just baked. Well, she didn't just bake. I mean, Elise baked cupcakes. So, and I love that we're using cupcakes because you're going to see something really special about the word cupcakes when we get to some of these attributes. So now this changes because she didn't just bake. She baked something very specific. What did she bake? Cupcakes. So this becomes the object that got the direct action of the baking oven, right? So that becomes the direct object. And remember, I said object. The O's are going to be nouns and pronouns. Okay, so that's a clue. So now, Elise baked cupcakes. You could go through tasks 1 through 3, and with this, your outline would look like that. Okay, and you can find the shapes of your outlines for diagramming through your patterns list. Because now you have SVTDO. Okay, get rid of that for a second. All right, let's continue on though. In this sentence, Elise is the subject. I'm going to pull out the chart so we're looking at it. Another role or use, remember nouns are like a hand. It doesn't just have one use, you can do lots of things. So today we're talking about nouns. It can be the subject. It can be a possessive noun adjective. Whose cupcakes were delicious? And if we wanted to pick a new word instead of just delicious, we could say scrumptious. That's even a better. You can choose better and best words in class, right? So now, whose cupcakes were delicious or scrumptious? Elise's. Elise's cupcakes were scrumptious. And here, I'm not just declaring it. I am exclaiming it. Elise's cupcakes were scrumptious. That's very exciting. I'm going to express some strong emotion in that one. Now, is Elise the subject? Was Elise scrumptious? Because I did not eat Elise, nor did I bake her. We baked the cupcakes. So this now is the noun, the subject noun. Okay, the cupcakes were scrumptious. Whose cupcakes? Elise's. If you circle the apostrophe S, those are your possessive. Do you see that? They are her cupcakes. Elise's cupcakes were scrumptious. So then Elise's becomes the possessive noun adjective because that is describing, adjectives describe the cupcakes. They're not just normal cupcakes, they are Elise's cupcakes and they were scrumptious. Exclamation point. Now I stands for indirect object. Remember in the last video I said if I jump in there, I want the object. I wanted the cupcakes. So Elise baked, I'm going to change this one here. I'm going to put Mrs. Schroyer right there. I'm going to jump in there, okay, with that post. Elise baked Mrs. Schroyer cupcakes. Now that changed this pattern to SVTIODO, and you're going to learn that more later in the year. But the indirect object, I jumped in to receive those cupcakes. And now Mrs. Schroyer is a noun because it's a name, right? And it's being used as an indirect object. If I were going to use Elise, just to keep it using the word Elise, I could say maybe I returned the favor. Mrs. Schroyer gave Elise a hug for the cupcakes. I gave what? I didn't give Elise away. I gave the hug away, but Elise jumped in there to get it. So Mrs. Schroyer gave Elise a hug. If I wrote that out here, you could identify Elise as the indirect object. But let's keep going. Direct object, those are these, right? Direct objects. And we've already talked about those a lot. Baked what? Cupcakes. Gave what? A hug. Okay? Those would be the direct objects. They're getting the verb action directly. And then OP is the object of a preposition. So Elise baked Mrs. Schroyer cupcakes with sprinkles. Okay? With sprinkles, sprinkles is going to be the object of the preposition. Okay?
So you might say it a couple times, right? Tom jumped. Okay, student has written the sentence. So you're ready to check mechanics together, okay? Because this is new, right? Does this sentence have a subject? If your student has difficulty right off the bat knowing that it has a subject and predicate, you could always come back and answer those questions at the end of our question confirmation. Okay, so we have checked mechanics. We're good there. We're ready to go to question confirmation. So the question confirmation is a little bit tricky at first in understanding that the question confirmation sheet that came with your guide goes through a lot of questions. And we are only focusing on like 3 to 4 questions right now for first years this week. So I took some of these questions, the way they're worded, and combined it with the way it's worded in your guide because it's a little bit different how it's worded. So I put them together in a way that makes the most sense for, I think, a first year starting out. So here they are right here. So the very first question we're going to ask is, who or what is the sentence about? And that's going to tell us the subject. So who or what is the sentence about? Tom. Yes, Tom is our subject. Is Tom a noun or pronoun? Noun. So we label it subject noun. What's our next question? What is being said about the subject? So what is being said about Tom? Tom jumped. Okay, so that tells us our verb, right? Verb. The next question we need to ask is subject verb whom, subject verb what? Tom jumped who? Tom jumped what? Can I answer that? No. So if I can't answer that, we have a verb intransitive, does not transfer the action to another object. Okay, then we are ready to say, okay, what structure is this sentence? It's simple, right? Because a simple structure contains one independent clause that makes complete sense. What about the purpose? We have to determine the purpose of the sentence. Is it declaring something? Expressing with emotion? Asking a question? Or giving a command? It's simply declaring something, right? So this is declarative. What pattern do we have? We have an SVI. Okay, so we've gone through all our questions. You do not have to diagram yet. That hasn't been introduced, but I think I showed you in class. So I will go ahead and draw a line here. The subject always goes first, Tom, and then the verb, jumped. Notice there is no punctuation in the diagram, and we do always capitalize wherever that first word is on the diagram of the sentence. That is going to be capitalized in the diagram, but we do not do the end mark. This is just the diagram. So the rest of this, the first years can ignore. We have not introduced that yet. Volcano erupted. The volcano erupted. Okay. What's the first step? We're going to, since we already wrote the sentence, now check the mechanics. Does it have a subject? Mechanics of the sentence. And now we're ready for question confirmation. The first question, who or what is the sentence about? That's going to tell us our subject. So I asked my student, who or what is the sentence about? Volcano. Yes, that's our subject. Is volcano a subject noun or pronoun? Subject noun. What's our next question? What is being said about the subject? That will tell us the verb. What is being said about volcano? Volcano erupted. There's our verb. Now we need to ask the next question. Subject verb whom? Subject verb what? Volcano erupted who? Volcano erupted what? Can I answer that? I sure can't. So that tells us it does not transfer the action to an object. It's an intransitive. Okay, so what about the word the? You know the word now. So we're going to go ahead and ask another question for the end. Once we have everything else we know, we're going to go ahead and ask this at the end. Are there any words modifying nouns or pronouns? Or are there any words modifying verbs, adjectives, or other adjectives? So if we have a word modifying a noun or pronoun, it's an adjective. If we have a word that modifies verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs, it's an adverb. So let's look at our sentence. Does the modify a noun? Yes, that's volcano is our noun. It's telling us it's a modifying volcano, the. So the is an adjective. More specifically, articles a and the are article adjectives. So we would do a for them, article adjectives. If it's just an adjective, it's aj. So what is next? We need to determine the structure. It is simple structure because it only is an independent clause that expresses a complete thought. The purpose, what is the purpose of this sentence? It is simply just making a statement. It's declarative, right? Okay, but you would ask your student each thing and let them put the check marks. What is our pattern here? We have an SVI. And what is that going to look like on a diagram if you're diagramming it? Well, the subject always goes first, right? Volcano. And then the verb, sorry, go like this, erupted. Now, the modifying words always go on a slant line under the word they modify. The modifies volcano, and it will be capitalized because it was the first word in the sentence is capitalized. So it will look like this, the volcano. Remember, we're still ignoring the rest of this if you're first year.